Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. Brandi Van stands as a beacon for those who are finally attuned yet wrestling with doubts about their psychic insights. As a dedicated psychic media mentor, she embarks on a journey with you to deepen your trust in your intuitive powers and the profound messages you receive from spirit. With Brandi's guidance, you'll learn to express these insights with conviction and connect with the universal energy that binds us all. Within nurturing an empathic community. Well, I guess we're all empathetic at the same time. Empathic. Brandi fosters an environment where you can thrive, cultivating a positive and purpose-driven outlook on life. As you unravel your higher calling to assist and heal others, you'll explore the expansive realms of your psychic abilities, enriching your personal growth and enabling you to make a profound impact on the world around you. Through this journey, Brandi aims to help you discover a path that not only fulfills your spiritual quest, but also brings deeper meaning and joy to your life. Welcome to my show, Brandi. It's so nice to
Yes,
have you on.
thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see you.
Yes, it's so nice to meet you. And I was just chit-chatting with you before and saying, okay, my first memory, and this may sound a little crazy, but probably not crazy to you. But my first memory is I remember there was a crow or a raven in my next to me on my crib with red eyes. And then I felt like the snake inside my crib as well, like a slithering snake. It freaked me out. And that was my very first memory. And obviously, I was able to stand up because I remember standing up in my crib and then crying, crying, crying. My mom was coming and picked me up. And I remember my sister, who's 10 years older than me, sleeping in the bed next to my crib. She was sound asleep, but then I remember her picking me up. And then that's all I remember. And then I had asked her later on in the years, I'm like, Mom, did we have a house like this? And then did my sister sleep here? My crib was positioned here. The door was there. And she's like, yes, yes, yes. I'm like, oh, it wasn't a dream. It was probably something that really happened to me. And all through my life, I've experienced a lot of like awe moments. Like, no way. Like, what? Oh, did I just hear that right? Why is my ears ringing? Why am I feeling so heavy in this room right now? Everything that's going on. And so I'm so excited to talk to you because I know you're working with a lot of people who are wanting to learn more about their psychic abilities, especially if they're a little bit like, how do I start? Like, what do I do? But let's just start off by you. Actually, Brandi, if you could just go ahead and debunk some common myths that prevent people from exploring their psychic abilities and how do these misconceptions hold them back?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm so glad that you are able to see that you have that extra sense. So, psychic abilities are really having that extra sensory perception. And a lot of people think that we aren't all psychic. And that is definitely a big misconception because we all have our five physical senses, but then we also have our intuition, which is our sixth sense, which is our psychic sense. So those words are all interchangeable. If you have intuition, that you are psychic, and we all have it. So we are all psychic. But you might not realize that you're having intuitive experiences like that feeling whenever you enter a room, or you might dismiss it as something. So yeah, that's actually your psychic experience that you're having. But some other ones, a lot of people think that you can't turn it off once you develop it. So they might be afraid to develop it because then they might think that spirits will just be contacting them all day. But it's actually, if you don't know how to develop it, they can actually talk to you all day. But if you know how to develop it, you can turn it off. And even if someone doesn't want their ability, they actually have to develop it to turn it off completely. So yeah, that's a big myth there, is that you can't turn it off. Trust me, you can turn it off. Like, I would not be even in the human realm if I couldn't turn it off. So yeah, you have to be able to turn it off. Another one, of course, is that it's scary. And so a lot of people are fearful of it. But I think people have a misconception that it has something to do with the occult, or that you're a witch or something like that. And it's really not. It's about spirituality. It's about your finding your personal growth journey, figuring out who you are, what you want in life, to live this more true authentic life to yourself. And that can include talking to your spirit guides that are there giving you guidance, or having those cautionary tales of don't go down this road right now, like that. You can really tune into yourself. So I think that's a misconception. The fear is more the fear of the unknown, because you don't know what spirit might be there talking to you, and you might be afraid of the message because you don't know who it's for or how to put it into your life for action. So that's why I think it's really important to have a mentor, whether it's me or somebody else, because at least they've already been on that path before you, that they can now say, you know what, I've been there, you're not crazy. Like, there's nobody can say anything that I think is crazy because I've heard it all, I've experienced it all, I feel like. So when you can have someone to encourage you and to not be afraid of that, and when you can really trust your intuition, it really diminishes your fear level. So that's really important as well. Another fear is that, or I'm sorry, another misconception is that people think they can't develop it later in life. Like, oh, I've had it this whole time. I never did anything with it. But, you know, a lot of my clients are in their 60s. And even my mentor was like 62 and she had only been doing it for like 5 years. So it's just like anything else, playing the drums, playing basketball, you know, like if you want to do something when you're older, like absolutely anybody can do it. Um, Trying to think of some other myths that might hold people back. And oh, you know, and other people think it's not for me. It's for, you know, the psychics on TV. It's for Tyler Henry. It's for Teresa Caputo. It's not for little old me. And I felt that way too. I was like, you know, I'm not going to become famous with this, but you know, if you can heal someone and if you can comfort them and maybe give them advice for their future from their spirit guides, like I feel like it's for everyone, because if you can help someone with it, it's for you. If you want to help other people and learn how to do it, it's absolutely for you. It's for anyone that has an interest, that has a passion in it, that's, you know, excited about it. It's definitely for them. I think those are
Wow.
the main ones.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I remember the movie. Have you seen the movie Ghost? This is from my years in the 90s, you know, with Patrick Swayze and
Oh yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg. I
Whoopi
forget.
Goldberg,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just remember the movie, and then like she's just like, shut up, Sam, because he kept on like bugging, bugging her. Is it like that at all? Where you're just like, come on, spirit, leave me alone. I don't want to hear anything. That's what I always
So
laugh
it's
about.
basically, it's like having a storefront, like having your office hours, you know, and just like you would place a
Oh,
boundary with a human, you do the same thing with spirit. Because if spirits are my clients and if they were to just come whenever they wanted, I would always be working. So yeah, you really have to, you know, like I wake up in the morning and I say, these are my office hours today. You can bug me through this time to this time, but not during this time. But you still might get that spirit that's like, is the door open a little bit? And you really have to be like, no, I'm not talking to you right now. But you know, you always have power over spirit. So even if one is like nagging at you and bugging you, you can always like just turn it down, because you have power over spirit to just tell them like, no, you need to leave me alone, because it's a waste of giving me this message. I'm not going to do anything with it unless you wait and do it on my terms and respect my boundaries.
I love that. So that way it's like open communication, just like anybody here on earth. You're just like, well, there
Yes.
are spirits too, you know, they're just in a body.
Yes.
so, so same thing. That's awesome. Now, many individuals are unaware of their psychic potential. Now, how do you actually help people discover and nurture their psychic abilities to align with their life's purpose?
Sure. So the very first step, I actually created a PDF that they can go to my website, brandyvan.com. And it's, if you don't know what to look out for, you don't realize that you're having psychic experiences. So I created this like fun little quiz that shows you, you know, kind of like the things that you were saying. If you go into a room and you get a bad vibe from it, or, you know, maybe you like know someone that is lying to you and you don't even know how you know it, things like that. And then I've also broken it down into what type of psychic you would be based on the most experiences you're having, like in that category, because there's so many different types of psychics out there. And that's what I really go into in my program is, once you realize you're having these experiences, you know, what type are you? Are you a medical intuitive? Are you a healer? Are you a medium like me? You know, are you an empath? So I do these exercises with people to really open their mind and try to do these exercises to see which one works best for them. And some people might have more than one ability. You know, we each have our unique one, but we might also have more than one. And that really like shows exactly what they have. So it helps them to understand it, how to develop it, and then how to use it in their life. Because it's one thing to just like do an exercise, but then you actually have to know how to like incorporate it into your life to maybe if you did want to generate income for yourself, or if you did want to do readings for your friends and family and whoever else. So you really need to know how to work with it, and that's how you become a psychic versus just having like psychic experiences. You actually become a psychic and know how to use it in your life.
Wow. Now, normally I always say this at the end of the podcast, but can you just put your information out there? Because I want listeners to start getting this in the beginning in case they stop listening to it towards like the end, you know? What is your website or where can they find your PDF?
Sure, it's brandivan.com. So that's BrandiVan. And then I also have I have a lot of blogs on there. So there's a lot of free resources. There's all the podcasts I've been on. I've written online magazine articles. So there's a lot of free resources. And then I'm also on social media at Facebook and Instagram at Brandi Van Medium. And I'm always doing like daily posts to try to help people with little tips and tricks and stories of the past of, readings I've done and client stories. So yeah, they can find that all on those are basically the main three places.
Yes, and speaking about client stories, let's talk about a success story that you've helped an individual. Maybe perhaps they were doubtful in their psychic abilities, and then they're just like, you know what? I can't believe I have this gift, and now they're using it and they're helping people. Do you have any success stories like that?
Yes, absolutely. And everyone doubts themselves at the beginning. So, I mean, even I did myself, because our whole lives we've been taught to use critical thinking, use our logic and our rational mind. And now all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, I'm going to feel this in my heart and my soul and my body. And so there's no like facts. There's no, looking up something on the internet about it. It's just how you feel it. And so you really start to get this battle between your intuition and the rational mind, which always creates doubt because we're so programmed to look at these facts and to think rationally. So whenever you don't have those facts or that rational mind, you really start to doubt yourself. And so that's really big. So one client that comes into mind in particular, so my program is 90 days because you can't rush this. It's not something like, oh, I'm going to take a 1 hour class and then magically be a psychic. So he got to about halfway. So let's say he was at like 45 days and he was like, you know what? I don't think this is working for me. I really doubt myself. I don't think I have anything. And I just had to tell him, just like if you were to go to the gym, you're not going to see results like overnight. Like you really have to keep going with this. I really encouraged him to keep in the program. So he did. And I swear, like whenever your doubt and whenever your inner critic it gets louder, that means you're that much closer to your goal. And that's when you really need to push. The louder it gets to say stop is when you really need to push and keep going because that means you're that much closer. And your rational mind doesn't want you to get there. It wants you to stay in your little comfort zone. So I would say within a week of our conversation, I actually didn't even know what he was. He was telling me what he was experiencing, and it's something I've never experienced before. So I really had to work with him on it. And here he's an angelic healer. And so he's able to channel Archangel Saint Michael and heal people. And at first, of course, he thought it was coincidence. And it was like, maybe these people are just getting better, on their own. But then once it was like story after story, so what he does is he just gets someone's name. Like, so he'll let people know I'm a healer. If you need someone that needs healing, just give me their name. It doesn't have to be in person. He just does it virtually. And he creates like a healing ball with his hands and he sends that healing ball out to people. And it's been like over the pandemic, it was people who were in hospice with COVID who are now at home doing fine. This one gentleman was very young in his 20s. He was in a very bad motorcycle accident. They didn't even expect for him to walk, and he was out of the hospital within like 48 hours, which is unheard of. And most recently, he helped this little baby. She had been in the NICU for 11 months, and he only prayed for her and healed her within 3 days. And now she's at home and doing amazing. So I think once you start realizing like there's no way this is coincidence, and he can't heal the world. Like some people are ready to go to the spirit world, and he's not God or the creator, so there's nothing he can do about those. But I would say his success rate is like 95%. Like it's amazing, and he's just out there healing these people. And if he would have stopped the program, he never would have been doing that. So you just never know. And like I can't do that. I wish I could. But yeah, it was just like amazing to see his transformation and his journey to be able to do that. So glad he didn't give up.
That is a beautiful story, and it really touched my heart when talk about the NICU. Because remember, I was just talking to you about my 8-year-old downstairs who has a little allergy cough. He was in NICU for well, only it was a blessing because it was only about a week, a little bit over a week or so, and then he came out because he had a hypoxia, and his lung collapsed, and it was just a horrific experience, and
Oh,
but he came out of it really very well. And I mean I mean I could so that's why like, oh, that guy, the little baby.
yeah.
Amazing stories though. That is so awesome. Now you actually mentioned the importance of releasing one's ego to connect with spirit, right? Could you
Yes.
actually elaborate on how one can actually achieve this and why it's so vital for the psychic development?
Yes. So, it is the hardest thing to do because,
uh,
like I said, we're all programmed this way. We're conditioned to listen to it. So, um, you don't want to turn it off completely because it is there to keep you safe. But it's been from like the caveman days of like there's a lion outside and we have to keep you safe, and so that's what we're really fighting against is this thing that's been in our lives for hundreds and hundreds of years. But to release the ego, you really need to quiet that rational mind. And so I almost see it like a best friend that's giving you bad advice. Like, okay, I love you and thank you for giving me that advice today, but I'm going to listen to my intuition today. So you're not like cutting it off completely. It's still there for a reason, but you're just kind of quieting it to say, like, you know what, I'm going to try this path instead today. And I would love to tell your listeners the 4-step process to developing their intuition. So I've made it, it's called the AFTA method, AFTA. And so the first step is to ask it a question, because if you don't ask a question, you're not going to get an answer. The next step is to feel the answer somewhere in your body. And you only have 4 seconds to feel it. It's very instantaneous. If you go on to that fifth second, your rational mind is in the way and it's now thinking and it's talking you out of it. It's telling you you're crazy. So you only have those 4 seconds to really feel it, feel that gut feeling, or it might be a vision or an image in your mind, or it might even be a thought. But whatever you get within those first 4 seconds is the answer that your intuition is giving you. And it's always going to lead you to the right place because it's really what you want deep down in your soul. Then the third step is to trust it, because again, it's going to take you to the right path. And then the last step is to act on it, because if you don't actually do what it says, then you shouldn't have done any of the steps anyway, because it's not going to get you to that place. But once you listen to your intuition, it can get you to have higher energy levels. It can make you feel healthier, a better well-being. Maybe you do start listening to spirits and start trusting it. But you want to ask with very small questions first, like, should I eat a burger or a salad for dinner later? It shouldn't be like, should I move to California tomorrow? Like
yeah.
you want to ask it little things first and kind of get used to that feeling in your body, or however it's answering you, and then you can work your way up. But yeah, that's the hardest part, is really being able to trust those answers, because everyone just seems to second guess themselves, which is totally normal, because we've never been taught that in school or anywhere. It's never in our education to just listen to ourselves versus reading something or in a book.
Right. They want us to be disconnected to ourselves and programmed. That's what that all about, the whole school system.
Yes.
Let's program them. Let's get them disconnected to their spirit. It's like, oh, but then once you have that relationship with your spirit, oh, I talk to like this is my best friend. Like I was telling my
Yes.
husband, and he's much of a skeptical about everything. He's opening up though. Yay.
That's how mine is too. Yep.
Yeah, you see, and so he's finally opening up and he's using the word intuition now. Was that word ever like come out of his mouth ever? No. He was very skeptical, but now he's starting to see. He's like, yeah, I feel it in my gut. I said, oh, good, that's your
Oh, that's
intuition.
awesome. Fun.
So I'm very excited for him.
Yeah.
Now, I have a personal question,
Sure.
my own personal question to you as an expert. So I am very much, I feel energies in rooms. It's very hard for me to go to malls. I hate shopping.
Yeah.
I can't stand to be outdoors like that anymore. I only love to be quiet out in nature. That's where I feel more at home. How do I protect my energy? Because I feel so sick. I feel like even when I watch a movie, like someone's getting hurt. Well, first off, I shouldn't be watching that scene anyway. Someone getting like stabbed or smacked. I'm like, I said, I feel that. How can I protect my energy?
Sure. And it's interesting that you say the mall because everyone who's an empath always says the mall. And the reason for that is because everyone in the mall, their energy is so negative because they're doing something materialistic. They're going to
Ah,
get these material items. And so their energy is very low. And so it really can drain you because of that material energy that's going on. So that's interesting that you said that. Everyone always does. So are you aware of the white light protection energy exercise?
no, I'm not.
Okay, so when you develop your psychic abilities, it's all about working out your third eye, which is your third eye chakra, and it's your imagination muscle, your pineal gland in your brain. And so you really need it's a muscle that's never been worked out before. And so what you need to do is visualize that there's white light coming down from the sky, and you might want to meditate for a couple of minutes first to get your mind and your body really relaxed and start to see that white light come down. And then you want to see it go all around your body, and it's very peaceful, it's welcoming, it's protecting you. And when you breathe in, you want to breathe in that white light into your lungs, into your heart, into your blood. And then you want to exhale anything outside of your white light bubble so that all negativity goes away. The only thing is, just like with anything, you have to believe in the bubble. If you don't believe that this white light protective bubble is going to protect you, then it won't. It's just like if you were like a basketball player and you're like, I know I'm going to do bad today on today's game. You're probably going to do bad. Or if your son has a test coming up and he's like, I know I'm going to do bad on this test. He's going to do bad because you have that mindset. But if you can set your intention to believe in it and see yourself in this bubble, then no negative energy can go into it. Now, for an empath, you have to do this bubble a lot because even if you go out your front door, there might be somebody there that now you got their energy on you. So you'd want to do it in the morning when you wake up. If you have bad dreams or spirits visiting you overnight, you'll want to do it before you go to bed. You'll also want to do it anytime basically you leave your house and then when you come back into your house so that you go back into your bubble. So it's easier to prevent that negative energy getting on you versus going out, getting this negative energy, and now you're depleted. You might not feel well. You might have these mood swings because you're feeling other people's emotions and moods. It's not even your own. It's kind of like a roller coaster that you're on because you don't even know what's your own mood now. So it's a lot easier to prevent versus later on trying to like restore your energy. So that's the biggest thing. And even when I say the word visualize that white light, some people can't see it, and then they think, oh, it's not going to work. But use whatever sense works best for you. So even though I'm using that word visualize, maybe you feel it, maybe you sense it, maybe you just know that it's there. Maybe you don't actually see it in your mind's eye, and that's okay. Just use whichever physical sense you can use to get that white bubble around you to protect yourself.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm going to use that. And I always say the third eye is my first eye. It's my
Oh,
first
awesome. I love that.
It is because it's what I visualize first. So now I just start need to visualize that white light. Okay.
Yes, awesome.
Oh, yay. So I should have asked this question in the very beginning of this podcast, but I need to know about you. How did you started developing your intuitive and spiritual and healing or medium gifts?
Sure. So I was like 10 or 12, and I noticed that I was like hearing more, actually hearing than seeing. I was hearing more things than other people were. And even today, I'm clairaudient, which means that I hear the voice, but it's my voice, but it's not my thought. And so when you're young, you're thinking like, okay, am I hearing voices? Like, I'm not going to tell anyone about this. They're going to think I'm crazy or they're going to think I'm making things up. So I just ignored it for years. Until I was in my 20s, I had a very profound spiritual experience and I just didn't want to ignore it anymore. My family and I were in my grandma's hospice room and she was about to pass away. So we're all holding hands and we're around her bed. And as she took her last breath, I literally felt her spirit rise above the bed. And so when I looked above the bed, I saw the most like magnificent, like I don't even think these colors are in our human world. Like they were so amazing and they were forming a star and beating in and out like a heartbeat. And in that moment, without even knowing how I knew, I just knew that that she was like at peace. I knew that death wasn't final. I knew that she was going on to this new transition. I knew that her loved ones before her who had passed away were with her to welcome her. And I knew I'd be talking to her again. And so all of this was happening, and I'm only like 21 maybe at the time, and everyone around me is crying and they're grieving already. And I'm going through this amazing experience. And so I had to leave the room, and my cousins thought I left because it was so sad. And, even then I couldn't tell them, like, no, I'm having this awesome experience, you know?
Yeah.
And it took me years to even tell them, because you just never know what someone else is thinking, or when's the right time to tell them. And I can talk to my grandma anytime I want. Any funeral I've been to since then, I have not cried at all. Like, they're just in my life, but in a different way. And
Mhm.
all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So a medium is someone who can talk to a deceased loved one, but not all psychics have that gift. So they might be able to talk to spirit guides, ascended masters, angels, but they might not be able to talk to deceased loved ones. I don't think that's something that you can really teach someone. It's just like a gift that they have. And so that made me want to do mediumship readings. So, I was like reading a lot of books and watching a lot of TV shows, but like nothing was working. Like, I wasn't able to control it, like whenever I wanted to have it on or off. I wasn't able to develop it. So I actually gave up. And then my friend, who happens to also be a life coach, she was like, "Did you ever try to find a mentor?" And I'm like, "That's something I never thought of." And then I only worked with my mentor for like maybe an hour a month for 6 months, and my abilities just skyrocketed. It was crazy, what someone who's actually already been in it and can teach you versus like what a book or a 1 hour class can teach you. It was amazing to just work with her, and just have her, say like, "You're not crazy, I've been through that too," and really get you to do exactly what you need to do. So I basically made my program off of the homework that she gave me to do. So now I've done that homework for other people. And then I have all these exercises in it that she gave me, and then other ones that I've added since then, to be able to really, hone in someone's abilities so that they can have that starting point and not be like, "Where do I start?" Because that can accelerate your learning, because there's so many places out there. It can be overwhelming on where to get started, and try to do that path on your own.
Yeah, for sure. And now grief, I know, definitely is a profound experience. And I looked at grief differently back then, and now I look at it completely differently now. And what would you say? Can you actually explain how your work supports people in their healing journey after they lost a loved one?
You mean in my program or my mediumship readings?
Oh, your mediumship readings, but you can do both.
Sure.
Both, sure.
Okay.
Share on both.
So the mediumship readings, I do like have them ask a question. I say almost consider me like a journalist, where I don't know what these messages mean. Their job is to put that pieces of the puzzle together. But they can ask questions. And so, I've actually more than once, someone has come to me and said, "I don't know what to do with my mom's house. Like, I don't know if I should sell it or if I should keep it in the family. And it's causing like the whole family to fight, and it's causing the whole family to stress out." But those on the other side are just like, "Do whatever is best for you. Like, I don't want you to create stress in your life." Once they pass, they're all about love and passion and forgiveness, and they want their living loved ones to still have like the best life possible. So if they're creating any type of stress, they want them to just do whatever is less stressful for them. So here they are, very stressed out about it, and it's something that on the other side they don't even care about anymore. It's something material, and they've gone through that uh, their life review to know that material things aren't that important. So it's not even important to them anymore, but maybe it was in their life, but now it's not anymore. So, but a mediumship reading can be very emotional. So I always make sure that, I do a meditation, even if it's just a few minutes, to try to calm their nerves, calm their emotions down. Because it can also be very healing if they do have questions that maybe can give them closure. There's times that people will straight up tell me, like, "None of this makes sense. I don't think you're telling me anything that makes sense." But I keep going. And that's the trust that you need to have in spirit, is to, even if someone is telling you this makes no sense at all, they're not validating anything that you're saying, but to keep giving the message. And then, maybe 2 weeks from now, it makes sense. Or maybe they talk to their mom and it makes sense to their mom, because spirit is never wrong with the message. And that's the trust that you have to have. It's your take on it that you don't trust, but spirit will never give the wrong thing. So you just have to give it even in the face of someone calling you basically a fraud, just keep going. And it will make sense to them later, guaranteed. So yeah, it's really a matter of, it's very emotional. It can give you closure. And a lot of times it's even a couple weeks later until you really can interpret the whole thing, because it is a lot. It can be very overwhelming. And, people used to cry, and I'm like, do you want me to keep going? And they always say yes. And my hardest thing is finishing the reading. Like, oh, it's been like 45 minutes. And not only to the human, but also to the spirit that wants to keep talking. It's like, oh, time's up. And it's very hard to do. So usually my readings go over the time limit.
Wow, that's amazing. Now you seem like you'd be super fun to work with. And I need to
Oh,
go
thanks.
ahead. Yeah, I want to take your I want to do that PDF, that questionnaire, so I can see where I'm
Yes,
at and
absolutely.
in my psychic abilities, I should say, because I know there's several of them. I definitely know that I'm not a medium because I don't talk. I heard voices before, but I don't actually can communicate with them. Not yet, anyway. I don't know.
Not
Not
yet,
yet,
yeah.
anyway. Now, for listeners who are starting their psychic development journey, besides your PDF, what are some other first steps they can go ahead that you would recommend to them?
Sure. So one thing I would recommend is not to just dabble in it, right? Like if you like, for instance, I gave you that white light protection energy exercise, and that is like the anytime you go into the psychic realm, you need to protect your energy, or else you don't know what you're inviting in. And there are negative energies out there, whether they're human or whether they're spirit. So it's almost like if I were to just do a reading and not put my, seatbelt on first, it's not safe. So a lot of people need to know that you can't just like jump into this without knowing what you're doing. It's very strong stuff. So yeah, the white light protection, absolutely. Some other things you can do are obviously those 4 steps of intuition that I gave you. And then another thing is like dream interpretation. Dreams are huge in telling us what we need to do in our lives, what our deep down our beliefs are, and what they're basically telling us to change our life for the better. And I actually do have a master class on that on my website too, if they wanted to deep dive into dream interpretation. That's like a whole nother podcast we could do, but that's another really big thing as well. And also keeping their vibration high. So, if you have like for a mediumship reading, for instance, if you are coming from a place of desperation, of like, please, grandma, please come through to this reading, they're most likely not going to come through, because desperation is very negative energy. But if you can say like, I would love to see you, and I really hope that you come. If you kind of just change it to that positive vibration, they will come, versus that, like, darker desperation, negative energy. So if you can raise your vibration by, you know, being friendly to people, helping people, keeping a positive attitude, going out in nature, maybe doing a meditation. Those are all things that keep your vibration high, that then open up the spirit world to you. And, if you have that open mind, you'll be able to find it. But yeah, raising your vibration is a really big one, because like me as a medium, I have to meet spirit in the middle. And that's what the word medium comes from. So spirit has a very high energy. They are like the lightest of the light, right? So they need to come down, and I need to raise my energy up to meet them in the middle. So you really need to have that positive outlook. And, even if something bad is happening to you, see it as, instead of like, why is this happening to me, see it as, what is this teaching me? What am I going to learn from this? What can I do here that I won't make this mistake again? Like things like that. So you can just kind of change your perspective on things to, like, it's so odd. Like whenever you get into this stuff, it's like things are important, but they're like also not important at the same time. It really gets you to look at things a lot differently. And I would never go back. I love this way of this transformation that I've done in my life, to like not be so negative and see things as so like cruel and challenging, but to see them in a different light. If that makes sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense. Yeah. I feel like I could talk to you forever, especially about the dreams. And then we can go on because I have some vivid dreams. It's like my spirit is like in a different realm, experiencing something completely
Yeah.
different. And it's so weird. Like I've been dreaming lately of a mall. So like mall, I don't know why,
Oh
but what
no.
I hate the malls. And one of them, I'm just gonna share this with you, is that it was like a mall, but it was like an airport at the same time, where and then it was also an amusement park at the same time. So
Okay.
people were coming there, flying in from different places to experience different rides. And then like the mall store itself, they were having like fashion shows of what they were selling instead and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? And another one was this medicine, because I am a massage therapist and I work in a spa as well. So I was in this medical spa and they were doing some weird stuff to me that things I've never like some I know there's light therapy, but it was a different type of like light wax therapy. I'm like, what is this stuff going on? Anyway, so I don't know why, but whatever. I actually enjoy my dreams because I'm like, where am I gonna go this evening?
Yes, me too. I love it.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
It is.
Well, Brandy, thank you so much for being on my show today. Is there any last thoughts or any last things you'd like to share about your mentorship program or anything else you'd like?
I don't think, I mean, even if they just are looking, if someone out there is just like, I don't have a like-minded community, I don't have someone that I can talk to about this, you can book a call with me. It's on my website, and I would love to just hear about your experiences, even if you just need someone to say, hey, you're not crazy. I 100% believe in this. I know that you're not crazy. I can be that person for them. I mean, I'm just here to help in any way that I can. I want everyone to come out of their spirituality closet, and I'll be their spokesperson. So yeah, even if they just want to talk to me, I'm totally open for that as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on my show. You are super fun, and I hope our listeners contact you, especially if they're wanting to learn more about their gifts.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.